The alchemist's laboratory is filled with the relics of a forgotten age. Ancient Roman scrolls, tarnished gold coins, and statues of long-forgotten gods clutter the room. On a large marble table, intricate vials and brass instruments gleam in the dim light of a flickering oil lamp. Strange symbols are etched into the stone floor, symbols no Roman scholar would recognize, hints of occult knowledge brought from distant lands. The alchemist, a man cloaked in a long, weathered robe, stands over his work. His face is partially obscured by the hood of his garment, but his eyes glint in the firelight with an unnatural intensity. He is not a man of the church, nor of science, but something in between, a seeker of forbidden knowledge. His gaunt fingers carefully grind herbs and minerals in a mortar, mixing them into a thick, black liquid. A crumbling manuscript lies open beside him, its yellowed pages filled with arcane symbols and Latin incantations. It speaks of an ancient Roman secret, an elixir said to grant eternal life, lost to time but rediscovered through dark rituals. The alchemist believes he is close to unlocking this secret. Above him, the sound of dripping water echoes faintly, the villa's age showing through cracks in the ceiling. Outside, the storm begins to swell, and thunder rumbles over the city. But the alchemist does not flinch. He is consumed by his work. The storm outside intensifies, rain slashing against the villa's cracked windows. Inside the lab, the alchemist's cauldron boils, emitting a thick, pungent smoke that fills the air with an acrid scent. The black liquid inside it bubbles violently, as though it were alive. The alchemist takes a tarnished Roman coin from his collection, once a symbol of the empire's vast power, and drops it into the cauldron. The liquid swallows it whole, the bubbling intensifying. His breathing quickens as he watches, his every action precise and deliberate. His hand, shaking ever so slightly, hovers over a small glass vial, ready to contain the elixir. Suddenly, a soft sound, like footsteps, echoes from behind him. The alchemist freezes, his eyes darting toward the door. No one has entered the villa in years. No one even knows he is here. Yet the sound persists, a shuffle of feet, then silence. He turns back to his work, ignoring the sound, blaming it on the storm or perhaps the crumbling walls. But the sense of being watched lingers, crawling up his spine. The black liquid in the cauldron begins to shimmer, its color shifting to a deep, glowing crimson. The transformation is almost complete. He pours the liquid into the small vial and holds it up to the flickering light. It glows faintly, an unearthly hue that seems to pulse with life. The elixir of immortality. Hours pass. The storm outside rages on, but the villa remains eerily still. The alchemist stands before a large bronze mirror, its surface tarnished and cracked. In his hand, he holds the glowing vial, his reflection distorted and fragmented in the aged glass. The manuscript lies open on the table, the final instructions written clearly: to drink, to transcend death, to become eternal. His hand trembles as he raises the vial to his lips. But just as the liquid touches his mouth, a loud knock reverberates through the villa. Once, twice, 3 times. The force rattles the ancient walls, shaking dust from the ceiling. The alchemist freezes, the vial still raised. Slowly, he turns toward the door. His heart pounds in his chest. The knock comes again, louder this time. It is impossible. No one would dare disturb him here. And yet, someone, or something, is outside. The alchemist places the vial back on the table and moves toward the door. The knock stops as he reaches for the handle. He hesitates for a moment, then pulls it open. There is nothing. Only the raging storm, the wind howling through the empty streets. But something catches his eye on the threshold, a small, golden pendant, ancient and worn. The alchemist kneels, picking it up gingerly. He recognizes it at once. It was his, lost years ago, when he first began his quest for immortality. His blood runs cold. The alchemist returns to his work, shaken but determined. He holds the pendant tightly, its presence a reminder of how far he has come, and how much he has sacrificed. He cannot stop now. He lifts the vial once more, but as he brings it to his lips, a shadow flickers in the corner of the room, an impossible, unnatural movement. His gaze snaps to it, but there is nothing there. Just the dim light and the old statues lining the walls. But the feeling of being watched grows stronger, the air thickening with unseen energy. The mirror in front of him ripples, the bronze surface warping as though it were liquid. His reflection shifts and distorts, and for a moment, another figure, a gaunt, hollow-eyed figure, stares back at him from the mirror's depths. The alchemist recoils, his heart racing. He turns away from the mirror, only to find that the shadows around the room have begun to move, crawling toward him like living things. The room feels colder, the fire in the hearth dimming. Something is terribly wrong. The shadows now envelop the room, twisting and writhing like dark tendrils. The alchemist backs away from the mirror, but his retreat is halted by a sharp pain in his chest. He looks down, and to his horror, sees that his own flesh is hardening, turning to stone. His limbs stiffen, the transformation spreading up his arms and legs, like the ancient statues that fill his lab. Panic grips him as he realizes the truth. The elixir was not a gift of eternal life, but a curse, one that would turn him into an eternal monument, a prisoner in his own body, forever trapped in stone. As his face begins to freeze, the last thing the alchemist sees is the bronze mirror. In it, the figure from earlier, now fully visible, watches him with a cold, unblinking gaze. It is not another person. It is himself, a reflection of his soul, forever caught between life and death. With one final, shuddering breath, the alchemist is turned to stone, his outstretched hand forever frozen in desperation.